On May 19, 2012, a 33-year-old oil rig mechanic staggered into a New Orleans area emergency room.
He has cuts all over him.
Hours earlier, and 135 miles away, Lafayette College student Mickey Shunick was riding her bike home from a friend's house.
It was the longest route, but the most lit and safest route for her to get home.
But Mickey never made it home. Soon, a desperate search for the beautiful co-ed would uncover a blood-soaked connection to the mysterious man in the ER.
Bro, you know, that's dude. I didn't have nothing to do with that girl's freaking disappearance.
Michaela, better known as Mickey Shunick, grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana, the middle of 3 children.
Sassy. That's that everybody uses to describe her.
She stood out in the crowd, that bright, platinum blonde hair, and every once in a while you'd have a blue streak or a purple streak.
An anthropology major at the University of Louisiana in Lafayette, Mickey was used to riding her bike around town.
When traffic gets bad here, 2 wheels get you around faster than 4 wheels. And Mickey just loved to bike.
Late one Friday in May, after a night out with friends, Mickey rode her bike home, down the empty streets of Lafayette.
She knew these roads like the back of her hand. She knew that that night there might be drunk drivers on the road, so she decided to take a different route home.
The next day, Mickey was supposed to attend her younger brother's high school graduation, but she never showed up.
Mickey would never have missed her brother's graduation. That's one of the reasons why her family knew very early on that something was wrong.
After reporting Mickey missing, the Shunick family appealed to the media for help. Mickey's sister Charlie led the charge.
Just please bring her back. Don't hurt her, and just bring her back to us. We'll do anything you want.
Within about 2.5 days of her disappearance, we had tweets being retweeted across the world. By day 4, we had the story on national news.
If someone took her and she was conscious, they're hurting, they have broken ribs, they have a broken arm, broken nose, look for someone who's beat up around the office, around your neighborhood, because they might be responsible for this.
A week after her disappearance, detectives recovered local security footage of Mickey on her bike.
What we do know is that Mickey left her friend's residence and drove down a few downtown area streets until she crossed University Avenue in St. Landry. A little bit further down the road is the last time that we caught her on video.
The surveillance video also revealed a white pickup that appeared to be following Mickey. Detectives were convinced the person in the truck was somehow involved in the case. Reporters ran with the story.
Everybody was suspicious of anybody with a Z71 white pickup truck. There were thousands upon thousands of tips.
Police followed up on a lead about a man named Brandon Laverne, who was treated for multiple stab wounds at a New Orleans hospital the day Mickey disappeared.
Laverne had been on law enforcement's radar for many years. He had recently completed a prison stint. He was a sex offender.
Laverne also filed an insurance claim, reporting that his white pickup had recently been stolen and burned.
Coupled with the tip about Laverne owning a white Z71 pickup truck, police began to narrow their focus on him.
On July 5th, 2012, police pulled Laverne over and arrested him on a charge relating to a prior offense.
We had obtained a warrant for Laverne's arrest regarding the altering of the driver's license by whiting out, removing the sex offender tag on it. When I actually finally got a chance to sit down in front of him, I was confident that we had the right man.
I'm just getting back from work, if whatever warrants I got, man, I want to go ahead and bond out on, bro, because, like I said, I ain't been home in 2 weeks.
Authorities grilled Laverne about his stab wounds. The suspect claimed he was mugged.
Where'd you get stabbed at? Huh? Where'd you get stabbed at? I got stabbed in my hands. You mind if I take a look?
Once he was pressed about the information that we had and that we believed he was involved in her disappearance, he requested an attorney.
Nah, if you're saying all that, dude, no, bro. I want an attorney.
Coming up, the shocking details behind Mickey's disappearance finally unfold.
My opinion of what Mickey did that night was that she was an absolute warrior.
In the spring of 2012, University of Louisiana student Mickey Shunick disappeared while riding her bike home late one night. After weeks of combing the area, there was no sign of the pretty blonde co-ed. until police arrested convicted sex offender Brandon Laverne.
Laverne was no stranger to crime and being in trouble with the law. He was in prison from 2000 to 2008 for sexually assaulting somebody.
Laverne was also the main suspect in the strangling death of 35-year-old Louisiana resident Lisa Pate, but he was never indicted due to a lack of evidence. This time, prosecutors were certain they had enough to put Laverne behind bars for good.
We proceeded with both cases and presented both cases to the grand jury. The grand jury heard the evidence and returned indictment of the defendant, Laverne, on those 2 counts of first-degree murder, Mickey Shunick and Lisa Pate.
If convicted, Laverne would face the death penalty, so he decided to negotiate.
Part of the deal was that if he was to confess and to lead investigators to where her remains were, that the death penalty would be taken off the table.
Laverne offered his version of what happened that fateful night.
He saw this beautiful blonde on her bicycle late at night. She was heading home, and he saw it as an opportunity. He hit her bicycle, throwing her off.
An encounter occurred at that point. We will never know how it came to be that she entered his vehicle, but suffice to say, the fact is she was inside of his vehicle. At some point, as they were traveling away from this site, she began to attempt to escape.
Laverne pulled out a knife. He sprayed him with mace.
I grabbed her arm, trying to get the mace out of her hand, and I guess when she grabbed the knife, she started stabbing. And I just, I would just, I lost my mind.
He was able to wrestle the knife away from her, and in the midst of doing that, cut severely some tendons in his finger and his hand. He was able to get the knife from her and then proceeded to stab Mickey several times.
Laverne thought Mickey was dead. After he drove 40 minutes to dump her body, he received the shock of his life.
She popped up and stabbed me dead in my chest, and I was like, I don't know if I was more freaked out about her stabbing or that the fact that she was still alive.
It shocked him, it stunned him, but only momentarily, because he quickly grabbed a gun that he had in his possession and then shot Mickey in the head at that point, and she was killed immediately.
Laverne quickly stashed Mickey's body in an old cemetery so he could tend to his own life-threatening injuries.
He ended up going to New Orleans to seek treatment so that no suspicion about the wounds would come up in this area.
When he returned to Lafayette, Laverne threw Mickey's bike off a bridge and burned the rest of the evidence, including his truck. Then Laverne went back to the cemetery where he left Mickey.
He actually then pulled her body deeper into the wooded area, dug a shallow grave, and buried her there.
Mickey fought extremely hard for her life, and she was instrumental in actually helping us solve the case. Because without her fighting and without that will to live, he wouldn't have received those injuries and he wouldn't have had to seek medical treatment.
With Laverne's confession, there was only one piece of information police needed to know.
I went to the woods right there. You go maybe 75 feet into the woods and stuff, and she's buried right there.
The day they did find Mickey's body was a very tough day on so many levels. Professionally, it was tough, and personally, I'd gotten very close to the Shunick family, and I knew all they wanted was to bring Mickey home.
Brandon Laverne also pled guilty to the murder of Lisa Pate. He received a life sentence for that crime and another life sentence for the murder of Mickey Shunick.
The Shunick family got what a lot of families don't ever get, and that's closure. And closure, in a sense, they know where their daughter is.
The opinion of what Mickey did that night was that she was an absolute warrior. If she had not done those things, if she had not launched at him and stabbed him repeatedly and put the fight up that she had, it may well have been an unsolved homicide.
Since Mickey's murder, her sister has worked to assist other families facing similar tragedies.
Mickey's sister, Charlie, and I and some of her friends are working on starting an organization that is going to help families by telling them how to organize your presence on social media.
Mickey's final act of bravery has become her lasting legacy.
I know for a lot of little girls, she's a role model now. You fight back, and Mickey wasn't willing to give up. And apply that to any part of your life. That's pretty darn courageous. If a little 5'1" girl can show that much courage, I think we all can do our little part on that. So.